Renting in Toronto can be a costly affair with the market still red hot. And now some renters in the city are seeing dramatic increases in how much they're paying every month. There was a rent freeze in this province last year due to the pandemic, but that expired at the beginning of the year. And now some landlords are raising rent rates by as much as 25%.
There are rent controls in place, but to encourage developers to build new housing, this doesn't apply to newer builders. And that means if you live in a newer building, you could see your rent skyrocket. For more on this, we welcome to CP24 tonight Jake Myhall. Jake lives in Leslieville with his partner. We'll talk about his story in a moment. We're also joined by Kyle Ventura, a RE/MAX realtor with the Al Sinclair team, and Mark Weisleader, a real estate expert and lawyer. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Jake, your rent went from $2,000 a month to $2,500 a month this year. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so me and my partner moved into our condo May last year, and we just got a notice in the mail at the end of January that our rent was increasing by 25%.
Okay, Jake, you were expecting maybe a 5 or 10% increase. You did try to go back and, send a counter offer to property management. What happened, and are other neighbors experiencing the same increase?
Well, I haven't actually spoken to many neighbors throughout the building. Obviously, we're quite new here, so we haven't got to know them that well. But yeah, we were expecting a bit of an increase. That was a given, but obviously it was quite shocking to see an increase of 25%. And yeah, obviously it doesn't seem too fair, so we're forced to look at our options afterwards and, figure out what we need to do.
Right. I mean, a 25% increase, that's significant. I want to bring in the experts now and hear their perspective. Kyle, when you hear Jake's story, is there anything here that surprises you? Do you have any advice for him?
Yeah, unfortunately, they can now do this. And the thing with the market's going to dictate where the rent is going to stay. Now, if he increased your rent by 25%, yes, that's alarming. He should have given you 90 days written notice as well. You want to focus on the market trend. The standard one bedroom in downtown Toronto is just over $22,000 a month. For a one bedroom and a two bedrooms, you're looking at just shy of $3,000 a month. So it sounds like, they're trying to get as much money out of their tenants as possible. Now, as a landlord, you also don't want to raise the rent at risk of losing a good tenant. They still have to pay realtor fees every time they need to get a new tenant in there. So, the fact that he rose it, or your landlord increased it by that much is a little surprising. I would look at other options and see, obviously if you want to stay in that unit, that's great. But I think you should probably look at some other possibilities to rent.
Yeah, Mark, these new rules were meant to encourage development. Is it fair to tenants, though? What questions would someone moving into a new building ask?
It's an interesting situation. The government did this to convince developers to build more rental housing, and more rental housing was built. But the main beneficiaries of this are those condominium investors who bought new units, because those condominium investors make up most of the high-end rentals in the city. And for each individual investor, they get the benefit of the fact that since their unit was built and first occupied after November 15, 2018, they can all follow the lead of what this poor tenant is suffering and raise their rents sometimes up to 25%, as long as they do give the 90 days notice, and it's once a year. I have always written about this and tried to explain to tenants that where possible, if you're in a newer building, negotiate up front that the most the landlord can raise the rent in any year is, let's say, 3 to 5%. Then the landlord would not be able to do what you're seeing is happening right now.
So just to clarify here, rent control, that is in place for older buildings, right? This just doesn't apply to newer buildings. Is that right, Mark?
That's correct. So in other words, any building that was used as residential before November of 2018, and that's well over 95%, those buildings are subject to the current increase of 1.2% for 2022. So you can see what a tremendous difference that is.
So you're a lawyer, so I want to ask you this question. What should people be looking at when they're drafting up that lease? And should there be a special clause in that lease then if you are moving into a newer building?
That's what I was trying to say. But it's not easy. Kyle can tell you, it's not easy to negotiate that with a landlord. If I was a tenant in a newer building, I would say, look, I don't want my rent to go up more than 5, maximum 10% in a year. Let's put that in the lease. Then the landlord would be stuck with that. They couldn't raise it above that. But as Kyle will tell you, in a tough market where landlords have many tenants bidding for even rental units, it's going to be very hard for you to have that in your lease.
Yeah, Kyle, it's a competitive market. How challenging could that be? We'll get you to weigh in.
Yeah, and like to your point, it kind of, you're taking yourself out of the market in the competitive space, because it is right now, you know, the price to buy a home is so expensive that people are forced to continue to rent. So the Toronto market is very competitive, and you know, when you start adding clauses, yes, you want to try to protect yourself at all costs, but you kind of do yourself an injustice when you add these clauses, and if you're in competing offers, you're likely not going to be the one that's going to win.
All right, Jake, what are you thinking? Do you think you're going to bite the bullet and, you know, just pay more every month? Because, you know, look, this does put you over your budget. Are you going to start looking for a new place? Is this like a professional company that you're renting from, or is this a private investor?
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like 25% does stretch our budget very thin, and it's really tight. So we are going to start looking at a new building to move into. And it's unfortunate, you know, we just got settled here, and, you know, we don't want to move, but for that increase, it just doesn't seem realistic for us at the moment, unfortunately. So, and yeah, like, it is a professional company, a property management company, and they've been great with us all up until now. And it just, yeah, it doesn't seem quite fair, and especially the fact that they weren't willing to negotiate with us at all. They were just dead set on the price. It really sort of drove us away to the point where it's like, well, we don't want to pay this, and especially with you at this point. And so, yeah, we're going to look elsewhere now. And, yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Oh, man, Jake, best of luck. Mark, Kyle, thank you very much for your expertise. I mean, lots and lots of questions.
Yeah, good luck, Jake. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.